Okay, good morning, everybody. Eyetwitch Day 2. We played it in the Crypt of Agadim Reanimator deck yesterday, based on the Showcase winning list. That build was really cool. We had a winning record with it, and I was really impressed with the Eyetwitch Phyrexian Tower package. I do think that there's one other obvious shell to play it in, and it's this one. It's the Soultrader combo deck, a deck we've done pretty well with recently. We top rated challenge when Phoenix Fleet Airship came out. With Soultrader had a lot of good results with this archetype, and I think that the Eyetwitch fits in really well. I think it does a lot of things that this archetype is really interested in. Like, what obviously this is it's already a Flare of Denial Phyrexian Tower deck, so it just fits in there really well, being something that you like to sacrifice. It's also a 1/1 that like crews your airships, although we're a lot lower on airships in this build. I think you want some number in the 75. We've got two main one side right now. It also sets up to loot away your Soultrader's Sephiroth and I guess apprentices so you can unearth them. Kind of leading back into that reanimation plan. Remember, with Learn, you don't have to get a lesson. You can also discard a card and then draw a card. And then one thing that's like kind of big for this deck that's maybe not that obvious is that it's a good value creature to recur with Overlord of the Balemurk, which is actually something that this archetype was missing really badly. Overlord of the Balemurk, in a lot of ways, like is a card that you're playing in this archetype to kind of like hard cast and to outgrind the opposing interaction. But it is kind of awkward that it doesn't buy back Sephiroth, and then like buying back Apprentice and Soultrader and Gravecrawler. Like these are just not good value cards. So it's hard to like outgrind your opponent with the Soultrader necessarily, unless you're going for the combo. But recurring Eyetwitch and being able to sack it over and over again, or a few times over the course of a game, is a really, really big deal. And so, like, in this deck you've got the Unearths and you've got the Overlords, and also you're a bit better at sacrificing the Eyetwitch compared to the Crypt of Agadim deck because you've got Soul Traders and you have Sephiroth. Like sacking it, making a treasure token is pretty cool. And so I think I'm very optimistic about Eyetwitch in the show. And one question that you have to answer is, what lessons are we playing? What lessons are we playing? And I decided to go Jund. I decided to obviously you stick with the black lessons. Decorum Dissertation, the new one from Strixhaven. I think that this is like, I do think without this card, the package would just be much worse because you don't have like a big over the top card advantage spell to grab with your toolbox, and like having access to this is so important. I ended up not playing the 3-mana exile target creature or planeswalker. You have to exile your own thing. That card was just really bad for me all day yesterday. I ended up cutting that one. But I am still playing Oze's Cruelty. This mind rot. They discard 2 cards. Ruinous Waterbending, -2 to everything, and then also you can waterbend to gain a life whenever a creature dies. The life gain on this was pretty good yesterday. Dai Li's Indoctrination, which is a kind of a bad inverse duress, but sometimes it's what you need. So these are the black ones we're playing. And I decided that I really wanted Price of Freedom like quite badly. I really wanted Price of Freedom quite badly. Maybe we should be playing the Shock. I think I should be playing the Shock. I don't know. Actually, don't know why. I had it in here. I don't know why I cut it. I think I'm gonna cut it. Play it over the Meltdown. Or they're just the 1 mana 2 damage. I think maybe I just didn't add it back in after I added the red stuff. So like one thing is True Ancestry is kind of like one of the most important lessons. It returns a permanent to your hand, and so this is a way for you to return your Soultrader, return your Apprentice if they die, and like having access to that is so important. And also having access to Origin of Metalbending to deal with some hate pieces is a really big deal. It can kill High Noon, which is a card that does stop your combo. Price of Freedom can hit artifacts, which is pretty nice, but High Noon and maybe some others are I think pretty big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and get the where is it? Yeah, Firebending Lesson? Yeah, Firebending Lesson in here. And so one thing that's kind of cool about the 3 colors, and like you are mono black. You never have to get a non black source in this deck. But with the treasure tokens you get from Warren Soultrader and to a lesser extent Shambling Ghast, all of a sudden the lessons are like really, really splashable. And compared to the Crypt of Agadim version, the cards you can play like are just a lot more. They're just a lot more open. I feel like Dai Li Indoctrination is bad. Dai Li Indoctrination. It won us like at least 1 game yesterday, which is just enough for me to keep playing it. It's like just kind of like how Karn the Great Creator tutor targets. They're bad until they aren't, you know. And just like Karn the Great Creator tutor targets, they will never be bad, and you'll never draw them and they'll be bad. You'll never accidentally, oh no, I drew this Dai Li's Indoctrination. It's so bad. Like just sometimes you need a freaking targeted discard spell, and it won me enough games yesterday that it's staying in. Um, and like sometimes like you just want to attack their hand and you choose between the bad mind rot or the bad discard spell, and it ends up being pretty nice. Right, so let me get in there. There's also the 1 damage to all creatures opponents control. That one's kind of good against Pinnacle Emissary. We'll see if we end up winning that one. What is the combo with Sephiroth and Overlord? There's a nombo with Sephiroth Overlord. You can't return Sephiroth with Overlord, because it's an avatar. There's no combo, but Sephiroth is a combo piece with Gravecrawler, Warren Soultrader. In addition to just being like a good value card, like Sephiroth sacking your Eyetwitch or your token or your crawler is pretty good. Good morning. Have you played this list, Green Black with Malevolent Rumble? I have, and I'm of the opinion that Overlord is better than Rumble. And all right, let's get in there. Did I put back second flare? I think so. Is Witherbloom Charm on my radar for Soultrader? The life gain is relevant for the combo. Okay, so everybody is like really horny for Witherbloom Charm, and the card is totally fine. There's nothing wrong with the card. I don't feel like it's. I feel like Witherbloom Charm is way better in decks that are interactive and playing a lot of more, you know, just not really combo decks so much, I guess. So probably playing Living End. I've been thinking a lot about Slumbering Trudge plus Tinned the Pest alongside Witherbloom. As additional cost, spell suck a creature, create X tokens, where X is the creature's power. So okay, so you said this alongside Witherbloom Charm. Oh, the creature Witherbloom. Okay, so you can go. Okay, so you can make seven, one or six. Wait, how big is the Trudge? 6/6. So you can go. You make 6/1/1s, and then you can chord for 3 that turn, or you can untap and you can chord for 6. I feel like, I mean, this is just the problem with this is the exact problem with Witherbloom as a creature, right? It's like, what is this dream fantasy mana curve we have? This dream is, we go turn 1 Trudge, turn 2 sack, make the tokens. Then what do we need to have? Then we need to have Witherbloom, and then we need to have another payoff, and we have to have lands to curve it in. And this is like this is the situation. We found the situation where Witherbloom is like a good card, and it's like, it's so specific. You have to have such a specific curve for it to be nuts. I don't know how often it's going to be good. In addition to this, it seems like I hate that you have to have 2 specific cards. You have to have Culp, Tin Pests. You have to have the Trudge. Then you have to have Witherbloom, and then you have to have another card. It just truly is the middleman of payoffs. I just hate that card, I guess. Interesting. Right now, a lot of Golgari gamers are playing 4 Charm, 4 Push, 4 Thoughtseize. I feel like that's a lot. I wonder if Push will go down or Charm will go down. 1/5 of the deck. Yeah, it's very difficult to play less than 4 Fatal Push in like the Prowess Boros format, but main issue is not a Sibling Trudge nor Witherbloom, is drawing to the pest. I feel like the main issue is Witherbloom, maybe. Like, I think you could play Tin Pest as like a Trudge payoff, although Life's Legacy is probably mostly better still. Oh, they exile my Soulstone. Huh. I do. Trudge is the backup deck today. All right, let's go to game 2. All right, we're bringing the Ashioks. I have liked Airship against Living End. You can just tap out for it, and then it doesn't die to Living End. The Flares are kind of weird. I think I'll keep them in and leave the Unearths out, since you just kind of want stuff to stay in the graveyard anyways. Yeah, but for the not that we're necessarily going to get to this today, but I do feel like we moved on from the Eldrazi fight rigging build shell to first. I thought that the non-Eldrazi build was going to be better, and I really missed Myco Spawn for Mosswort Bridge. But I do think that this shell of getting to play 9 hideaway cards alongside 8 trudges to enable them, alongside like just good Eldrazi cards, and the Devourer for some consistency too, and like K command to set up some of your hideaway. Like I thought that this was really good, so I ended up updating the sideboard. But I thought this deck like just looked really good, and then we played a non Eldrazi build that was just not as good, I think. Is Trespasser too slow of graveyard? Yeah, I don't think Trespasser is good against Living End. Like, just like 3 mana creatures you have to tap out for in general are bad. It does hate their graveyard a little bit, but I think it plays into their draws too well. So yeah, and again, I ended up updating the sideboard. Why no more Hinge? So you can play Hinge in this build. Like the double green is maybe a little bit tough with like the lab and the temple. But also like you're not as good at like just drawing a bunch of cards off Hinge compared to the other Trudge build. So like I do think Hinge is still very good, but you just don't draw that many cards off of it. Like it's possible like one Hinge is good. I don't even know what you would cut for it though. The build feels almost, I mean, maybe I'll just push back a little bit. I think you have like one flex spot. I ended up cutting Ouroborid for Formidable Speaker. Which shout out to there was a chatter who really told me to cut Ouroborid a bunch, and I had a hard time doing it. But this is a way for you to Green Sun and get an Emrakul to your hand. Green Sun for a hideaway payoff with Myco Spawn for bridge. Oh, and also just untapping Fnatic, untapping Lab is pretty nice. And even though I'm not in love with Speaker in general, I think just it's a fine one of here. I think we can keep this on the play against Living End. In theory, Twitch is pretty good, letting you like filter stuff into the graveyard. Dai Li Indoctrination can also take an agent. Maybe we'll take a look at their hand and feel like we'll want to take something. Seems like we can pretty easily fetch basic swamp. Yeah, you really don't want to play Life's Legacy because you need your trudges to stay and play for your hideaway stuff. All right, so let's see what they're working with. They did keep 7. 2 endurances, huh? A deceit that's pretty uncastable. I guess we're going to take 1 and we'll probably use Eyetwitch to deal with the other next turn. How well would the blue-black lessons built with Frog as discard outlet work? It sounds really non-cohesive and non-functional. I don't even exactly like when you say lessons. If you're talking about just like the standard lessons cards, like we've played that package, it's not very good in Modern. All right, so they get an Overgrown Tomb, so they are able to cast Deceit to take a card from my hand. I don't know if they're going to take Gravecrawler, but my hand is pretty good against discard. It's funny that we both cast a 2-mana discard spell this turn. Well, I guess I can leave that one up here. Awesome top deck. Phoenix with the 5 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I'm going to target myself with the Ashiok here. Milled another Gravecrawler. So their hand is Beseiju, Forest, Disciple of Freyleaf's Mystery card. They do keep whatever, they keep another card on top. So I guess I'll just go ahead and say you can't draw that card. Was it this agent or the Overlord? I don't really know which one was the top. Not that it matters. It's gone now, whatever it was. I don't know that you would keep, it probably would keep agent here. So they play the Forest. They have a little think. Can Beseiju my tower? This must be Beseiju, right? I guess it could be Overlord, and they're thinking to themselves, do I want to impending this turn, or do I want to hardcast next turn? Yeah, just Beseiju. Not really supposed to main phase it like that and let me surveil. Alright, big top deck. Not even being that sarcastic here. This lets us play 2 Gravecrawlers. I guess I want to try to fill the yard back up since I lost any creatures in there. Could find another Gravecrawler. We do, and also a Twitch and Apprentice. If you're not keeping up at home, Ashiok is now officially card advantage. It drew us two Gravecrawlers. Not a bad Shambling bad Ghast top deck. So they play Garden of Freyleaf, so they may be running out of lands. Another thing about channeling the Beseiju is like it does let you cast your 6 drops if you keep them in there. All right, so they know my hand is 2 copies of Flare of Malice, and they still decided. I guess hard casting the Deceit's not going to do much. I really like to play Sephiroth. Yeah, we haven't done a lot with Sephiroth, but I do like sacking Twitch to it. I wanted to play a third. Maybe we should be playing like a third over like the 4th Apprentice. I do think well, nah. We just have lethal next turn. We don't need to. Oh, we should have lethal if they play a blocker next turn, right? Actually, a card advantage too much. Ban it. Is this now? It's been a 3 for 1. Official 3 for 1 or 4 for 1. All right. Game 3. Well, I'm gonna keep this on the draw against Living End. Not really much of a decision point. Yeah, I think this is a spot to take the second land. Shout out Surveil lands, make it a little bit closer. I wonder if they're supposed to play the Disciple turn 1 to play around the Thoughtseize. They do go with Hedge Maze. They graveyard a copy of Living End, so they might miss a land drop. They do miss a land drop. Probably fine to wait on the Thoughtseize. Probably, I think I'm going to prioritize getting a Surveil off here. Surveil seems really valuable. Valuable indeed. So now I'm going to try to take the Subtlety. Airbending Lesson is an interesting lesson to scam Overlord. Let me reread that one. Airbend target an unland permanent, draw a card. A little bit, yeah. If we somehow find a black-white shell that's interested in playing just a 2/1 learn guy, it could become something. Well, that was easy. Just Klarna it. Wait, and Klarna is a scam. So you are scamming Overlord. Maybe it's not a scam, but it's takes advantage of people. There are 5 or more cards among cards in graveyard +2/+2 Death Touch. When it dies, mill 2, then draw a card. You kept this? So I can't take any of these creatures because they just get unearthed. So I can take Force of Negation or I can take Unearth. Let's take Unearth. Not a bad draw. You put this in your graveyard? It was so good. You could have surveilled a creature in the yard too. That was a crazy graveyard. Okay, play the Heartstabber. We don't draw the land to win the game this turn. I guess I am pending Overlord since we can go Soultrader sack to play the Gravecrawler when we draw the land. Okay. So maybe good we didn't draw the land. I guess it does. Okay, this does sack the Flare of Denial. So if they draw another land, they can Oculus. They place a Toro. So I can Flare of Malice for the damage. I think I'm going to save the Flare to play around them just drawing a land for the Oculus. I guess also main phase Flare is kind of bad into the Force. Would Likeness Looter be better? It could be an Oculus. Well, do you get the draw a card on death? So now I can't win the game if I sack the Flare and I don't draw. If I draw the land and I Flare on my turn to play around Force of Negation, or on their turn to play around Force of Negation, I won't be able to win because I don't have the token to sack anymore. But I could just untap and cast this. We'll see if they drew another Flare. Seems like they did not. So up a game against Sultai Satoru. I played my Graveyard Trespasser. Seems like this is an Airship matchup also. It's weirdly maybe both an Airship matchup and in on the Gravecrawler matchup. I think Overlord maybe seems a little slow. You couldn't sack a token to Flare there anyways. Yeah, but I know I couldn't sack. Obviously, I couldn't sack the servo token. I was saying that you might want to sack Gravecrawler to play around their Force of Negation. So, and I was trying to say why I wasn't doing that. Okay, we'll keep this. They are on a mold of 6. I know I was stuttering a lot when I was saying that. Looking to add 2 good reanimated targets. Already have 4 Archons. What's a good card to scam into play? You don't have a lot else, honestly. So like your options are like Terastodon. And then you could also just play like Quantum Riddler, Blue Emeritus potentially. They did keep a card on top. But yeah, you don't have a lot of options for like persist targets outside of Archon. Yeah, it used to be Sarah's Emissary was pretty good. Now it's like I don't think it really beats anything. Let me surveil first. Okay, no thanks. So we saw Force of Negation game 1. Let's go ahead and play around that. I guess we might get them to like fly the frog. Or, use a Fatal Push here. But I think I'm going to set up to like sack Eyetwitch and use like the mana acceleration to grab my my Sign in Blood every turn card. Although I am a little bit worried about them just going fetch land Oculus next turn. We do have outs to just win the game, I suppose. Their hand is Culling Ritual, Oculus, Mystery card. Kind of shocked they used the push there, honestly. So they drew another frog. I'm remembering today that this card has flying. Okay, so we have the combo for next turn. So now we don't mind so much if they Oculi. So they have to take my Apprentice. So their hand is Culling Ritual, Oculus, and one Mystery card. We'll go ahead and Sign in Blood again. Remember, this is a May ability. You don't have to Sign in Blood if you don't have the life points. So I can go Eyetwitch. I guess I just already had this, but I can go make a treasure, grab the True Ancestry. True Ancestry back the Apprentice. Cast the Apprentice. And should win the game. I guess I'll attack for 3 first. Okay. Cool. Keeping this. Hey Spike, instead of John, isn't Sultai a good take so we can play blue lessons and frog? So do you think the blue lessons are better than the red ones? Because I think that Firebending Lesson and Price and Freedom are better than like the Hexproof Lesson and the Boomerang Basics and I don't think you play any of the card draw lessons. So like there's the Hexproof and then there's Boomerang Basics. Maybe I'm wrong and maybe those are good, right? But you just have to think that. So they could be playing Jeskai Control, Domain Zoo, or so Jeskai Blink, Domain Zoo, or like random Prowess build. I'm gonna wait on sacking this. There's a counterspell one. They're like the 5 mana counterspell. I don't think you want to play that one. Boomerang is quite good. I mean, I think it's okay. I feel like I kind of prefer to have Firebending Lesson than Boomerang Basics, just so I can permanently answer like the problematic cards. Quench. I mean, I guess maybe getting Quench at instant speed is kind of good sometimes in this deck. Like go sack, Eyetwitch, sack something else, cast Quench. I do think you want to stick to 3 colors. I think the green is pretty mandatory, and so I mean another thing is Price of Freedom is like this is like you just play this card without the lesson stuff, and just having this like just having one Price of Freedom means we don't really need to play much Tron Hate, I think. And so I feel like that's maybe too load bearing to move away from, maybe not. So they're probably going to target my Apprentice and then flicker my Servo token. Yeah, you can play Ira's Demonstration, although that card's just not nearly as good against Boros as like you would hope it is. Okay. Pretty good hand against ours. Just play Golgari land base before color lessons, just Cyber Treasure. That's true. Like, it's possible even like you could like if we played the 4 of like the 1/1 that makes a treasure when it dies, like maybe we wouldn't even need to play any support. Well, I'm gonna cast my 3 mana 3/3. We do have the third Airship, which is just like the best card in the format against them. They're probably going to surveil any card into the graveyard and flage me here. I don't even know how it's okay. Yeah, they're like, oh, but it's Quantum Riddler, but I can't lose if I just put it in the graveyard. Okay, so we're gonna add the Trespasser and the third Airship. We're keeping all the Flare of Malice. Go down. I think one Gravecrawler and one Soultrader, and click submit. You don't want Culling Ritual against Jeskai Blink. It just doesn't hit enough. Let's keep this. Culling Ritual is not good against Jeskai Blink. It hits Ragavan and Felia and like Fable, the Mirror Breaker tokens. That's not a good list. I think I gotta take the Solitude with them having the Ephemerate too. I don't know why you guys think it's good against them. A little bit scary to leave them with the Felia. They surveil Flage into the yard. So if I leave this in the graveyard and I go Unearth Apprentice, sack the token to the tower, play Soultrader, then I'm 1 mana short of comboing, so let's just go ahead and put it into our hand. So casting Soultrader is bad against another Solitude, but it does block the Felia the best, and I don't want to get my token blinked, and if they have like a discharge or a flage, then we can unearth it and win. So I think I'm okay saying, if they've drawn another Solitude, we don't have an easy win. We know their hand is Ephemerate. We know they've got like Archives, Flooded Strand. They've got 3 other cards. Yeah, the Culling Ritual is good against Boros, Prowess, Affinity, Yawgmoth. Those are like the matchups I'm bringing it in against. So they have a Quantum Riddler, so if they don't have a removal spell for the Soultrader, they can blink it, but then I'll get to block the Felia. They do crack the Strand. Maybe they'll Ephemerate the Quantum Riddler. Maybe they'll discharge the Soultrader. We know they have an Ephemerate. Maybe they'll Ephemerate the Felia, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. Couldn't we have gone for lethal with double tower? I don't believe so. I don't think the second tower is not really much different from like sacking something to Soultrader, but maybe you could type out the line that's double lethal. All right, so then unless they found a surgical or a Solitude, we're gonna win. I guess it's just a bit better to play the Gravecrawler first in case they did find one of those. I guess not really that different if I'm going to sack like this. Okay, not too bad. Let's go to game 3 on the draw. Hopefully we just have like an Airship carry us to victory, which I don't know if y'all remember, but like when we top 8 the challenge with Soultrader, like Blink was just the most popular deck in the format at the time, and Airship is weirdly like it's maybe the best card in in Modern against Blink. Maybe Flash Fires is the best card against Blink. It's like it's very hard for them to beat. I'm gonna mulligan this. They are also on a mulligan to 6. I think we're gonna have to keep this hand. Yeah, I think on 6 on the draw we have to keep. Probably want to put back one of the 3 drops. I think I'm gonna put back the Soultrader and try to use Sephiroth as a kind of a grindy engine here. Although it's maybe it's tough too since the Sephiroth combos with the Soultrader. They have a turn 1 Ragavan, so I do think I'll need to play a turn 1 Twitch. Oh, they have Lantern. Okay. Usually if they're fetching Steam Vents, I'm going to think it's Ragavan. That's okay. We draw like the best possible, although them having turn 1 Lantern is, not super duper ideal. Still got to be very happy with this top deck. We'll take the Felia. Wow. Do I want to just make them discard the Quantum Riddler? Yeah, I think I kind of have to. I don't love, like, this is my use of the Twitch necessarily, but my opponent didn't warp Quantum Riddler, which is making me think they drew another Felia, so I think I'm going to have to cast this Dai Li's Indoctrination to try to stop them from getting me with, like, a Thoughtseize bug here. And if they just, like, want to Surveil instead or something, then taking the Riddler also, like, stops, like, Ephemerate. Oh, they drew second Riddler and they didn't warp a Riddler? I don't know. It's kind of bad. I feel like I get punished for their hand being exactly double Riddler. They keep a card on top. It's kind of scary. Would y'all have cast a Riddler there, or would you have surveilled? I feel like I'm casting the Riddler there. Now they get to cast the Riddler and draw 2. And they find a consign to keep their Riddler in play. What about baiting Unearth on Eyetwitch, then playing Gravecrawler so I'm more set up to combo next turn? Well, I still can't combo next turn. I also, like, I just now drew my combo piece, so I don't know if you're, like, from the future or what. So we don't know any cards in my opponent's hand. They're all new. I do think this turn we can try to get the Lantern out here so we can try to combo. Or maybe you were just talking about this turn. Okay. So now I'm gonna go Eyetwitch, discard Gravecrawler, dig a bit deeper in the deck, then play Soultrader. I don't know that it was right for them to consign to keep the Riddler in play. I kind of feel like holding the consign could have been better and just set up to hardcast Riddler in 2 turns. I wonder if, like, I guess there's some of like their mystery cards could have changed that dynamic. Yeah. Maybe tough top decks to beat. I don't know. It's possible we could have sequenced better here. At this point, I just think I'll play it out, but the Riddler is just drawing them too many cards probably. I guess if you keep your Riddler in play, you can, like, sack the Lantern to draw extra cards. Attacking when the game is good. A fair point. Right, so they'll just put a Flage on the graveyard here and we can move on. No, they graveyard Wrathus, guys. So they don't have a land in their hand. Their hand is 2 spells. And then a new card, which seems to be another spell. I guess this is actually kind of bad to fetch now because they could replicate consign. Do I keep this? If I keep it, I'm sacking it to Sephiroth, which is a little awkward. Yeah, I'm gonna graveyard. Kind of just want to draw Eyetwitch. I could hardcast the Overlord here. I think I like just impending. This maybe makes them crack the Lantern and hopefully we can get something else. I think it's kind of a fun dynamic. Trespasser keeps us alive. If I draw any creature for Sephiroth, I stay alive in 2 turns. Trespasser doesn't really change that dynamic much. I think this is, like, undoubtedly a better top deck. We're just so behind. We just need something better than Trespasser. Surely they crack the Lantern. I mean, maybe they have consign. Although if they had consign, they're probably scamming the Riddler. Yeah. So this is probably, like, the best way we could have beat the Lantern. Now we need to mill something, but okay, we didn't mill anything. Dang it. Devastating. So I got pretty punished for not hardcasting. They have 3 spells in their hand. And a Riddler in the Warp Zone. I'm just dead to the hasty. Hasty Riddler. I think that's what they're doing. All right, 2 and 1. Got no lands, so no keeps. Down to 6. Let's go to 5. If I didn't go for the discard, what lesson would I pick? I might have just cast a different spell from my hand that turn. Feels like the Soulstone is determined to say, I'm not a land, I'm a spell. I think if I was going to keep a 1-lander, I would have preferred the last one. Maybe. Maybe not. So they Surveil. They keep a card on top. I was hoping they graveyard like anything so I could cycle Cling to Dust if I brick. Obviously, really awkward mull to 5. Shout out Magic the Gathering. This is not a land. Although I've been, I kind of land for it. So they lead on a Mox Opal. Then they play a Tormod Script. Then they play an Emery. I guess I'll exile the Skateboard. They're playing Manamo, which is interesting. So this turn I could go sack Eyetwitch to Tower and then cast Soulstone and Apprentice, and then next turn set up to hardcast Overlord. Let's do that. I'm gonna go ahead and I think grab the Disenchant. Maybe I need to kill the Emery. Maybe I need the Firebending Lesson. Manamo means sewer combo. I mean, you can play Manamo in any Emery deck. Thunderstriker with the 5 years. Let's go. Thank you so much. Good to see ya. I tried Blue-Red Lessons and Legacy yesterday. Chandra's Meditation is a banger, but the rest of the lessons are borderline unplayable. Is that one of the Legacy only ones? Apparently, there's a bunch of Legacy only or Commander Legacy only ones that I don't get to play with. When it enters, return 1 instant sorcery card from graveyard to hand. Whenever you cast instant sorcery, draw a card. Then discard a card unless there are 3 or more lessons in your graveyard. Huh. Okay, so don't know that we're going to be able to win on this mull to 5. Okay, let's play this so our chump blocks and the Saga tokens are better. And then maybe this also means like next turn we go like sack something to Tower, then all of a sudden like we're just dealing them some pretty serious damage. This is going to be worse if they are playing Shadow Spear. I don't know if they are playing Shadow Spear or not. Why are there lessons in Commander when lessons don't work in Commander? Good question. I mean, there are like lesson synergy stuff that doesn't care about the learn. Like they didn't print any new learn cards. They said that we're making more powerful lessons. We're not making any more learn cards, which was an interesting angle that I think a lot of us didn't expect. And I wonder if they'll ever print any more learn cards. So they get a Mox Amber here. When will you learn? When will you learn? I'd love to draw land so I can go Overlord Eyetwitch, although maybe they sack the Crypt. They're going to make a lot of tokens. They don't even think about sacking. All right, let me take the Eyetwitch. Not feeling great. We did already exile their Skateboard with Cling to Dust, so that might be something that saves us here. I'm going to go to the bathroom real quick while they take this turn. Okay, so they got 3 12/12s coming in. We're gonna block 2 of these guys. They could also haywire my soulstone, I guess. So they go down to 10. They also just get to like really freely block my Overlord when I attack. They can also Tormod's Crypt to my attack to stop me from getting back Apprentice. You know what? Good enough for me. Alright, Culling Rituals, yet again, I call for you. Kind of thinking we go away. Maybe I want some. I probably want some airships. Yeah, let's do 2 Overlord, 2 airship. Yeah, if only Professor Delphin learned. But he's a professor, he's got to teach, not learn. Alright, so this is a turn 3 win with a turn 1 Thoughtseize. Kind of like the quintessential ideal Soultrader hand. Is this hand a keep from them, I wonder? Seems like I need to take the Tamio because their hand just like completely falls apart without it. Like they have no Metalcraft, they can't cast Simmering, they can't cast Rebuke, they can't cast Heat. And they top deck Mishra's Bauble, which is the best draw by a lot. And they find a Mox Amber. So, dang it, I guess. That was a bad sequence for us. Although I guess they're going to have a hard time holding up Heat, but they can hold up Rebuke, which also gets me. They target Mox Amber. They play Tamio. Wait, they tapped out? Outplayed! Unbelievable to tap out there. Maybe not, I don't know. So lucky. I mean, we got very unlucky that they top decked the Bauble. And very lucky that they tapped out. Call it a wash. All right, on the draw for game 3. Let's go. Professors are always learning. Publish or perish, fam. So true. I played this deck with some Mayhem Devils a while back. They were great. I feel like with the printing of Sephiroth, I'll just probably never play Mayhem Devil again. Too many 3-drops. I think you gotta put back the Flare with nothing to sack to it. They have a turn 1 Manamo, and a Tamio, and a Bauble, and a Bauble. So they could flip Tamio next turn without even spending any mana, although they may want a clue. We'll see. So they're going to say, no clues. We're just going to flip Tamio. So it may be just a race to either combo kill them or draw a Flare before the Tamio ultimates. So we get pretty punished for taking Rebuke over Bauble. Punished for everything, every turn so far today. Oh, we can also draw Culling Ritual. That would be a good find, huh? So, do I want to draw this? Do I want to unearth it? I could go cast Eyetwitch Tower next turn. I don't feel like it's very good here. Yeah, I think I'm just trying to dig for Culling Ritual, honestly. Maybe Flare. I'm not gonna unearth the Eyetwitch. Might be right too, but I think it's just right too. If I unearthed it, I could cast Culling Ritual if I drew it this turn. Yeah, then we could. Yeah, sorry, we should have. We should have. So they minus on Metallic Rebuke, which is interesting. They cast a Shadow Spear, so that this leaves them with the Rebuke up. We'll see if they have another spell to play to get a Corey Steelcutter token. They do. It's an Imri, which is going to really help to continue to Steelcut every single turn. So now we're going to play the Soultrader as like bait for the Metallic Rebuke. We're going to take 4 down to 11 life points. Notably, Culling Ritual does not kill Imri. Not feeling too good about our spot. And they've got an Urza Saga. I'm probably going to follow the 2-2 here. Am I dead this turn? This is 5 power. Don't think we're dead this turn. Eight, 9, 10. They could put me to 1. Yeah, I mean, if we have to kind of draw Culling Ritual and something off the Eyetwitch rummage, maybe. Or I guess we could Eyetwitch into something. Oh, but then they just have... I miscounted somewhere. Okay. Y'all keeping this on the draw in a new matchup? Very borderline. I think we'll keep it. Yeah, I mean, we'll possibly still get to Mardu Arc today. So Islet Preordain can be Prowess or it can be Affinity. Seems like I need to take the Emissary. Try to strand the Kappa Cannoneer. Well, I guess if they draw another 0... Oh, sorry, I didn't take... I do just get Kappa if they draw another 0. Although I also have a bunch of Flare of Denials in my deck. They drew an Islet for turn as well. Do you ever consider Sparring Regimen? Could work well with Emperor Bones. I don't think... I thought Azula Always Lies is better. Or does Azula Always Lies put a counter on a creature? I think it does put a counter on a creature. Never... Okay, enters, learn, every attack, put a counter on target creature, untap it. I don't know. Probably not good enough. Alright, so they can cast the Kappa this turn. I feel like I need to play the Trudge deck because I need to be like it's one of the ones I'm considering for the challenge this weekend, and the weekly Magic Online patch will be to a point shows patch will trigger a game client download. You go to log in, plan this accordingly for the middle match. All right, let's keep this. So I think that next turn we can try to go like Impending Overlord and look to find Sephiroth or Soultrader and then try to unearth it next turn. They draw a card with their Fiery Islet, and then they have a little bit of a think. What cards could they be thinking about? Probably like Emissary, Kappa Cannoneer, end of list. Maybe they could be thinking about sacking their explosives. They play a Tormod's Crypt, which I would think would be a no-brainer. Then they play an Islet. Now they could play a Kappa Cannoneer without tapping this one, which would also be kind of a no-brainer. All right, I'm down to 11 life points. They have one card in their hand and the Islet and the Crypt and the explosives and the Bauble. So now all of a sudden my Unearth keeping on top is really bad because they kept a Tormod's Crypt. I think I still have to Impending this Overlord. And we find a copy of Eyetwitch. I think I'm going to play 2 Eyetwitches instead of an Apprentice. Now, one thing is my opponent might not be able to trigger the Kappa Cannoneer next turn. They probably will be able to between their Islet, their Bauble Draw, and their Draw for turn. But if they can't, then blocking with the Twitches will give me a lot of options for next turn. Come on, opponent, come on. So we need them to have drawn a bunch of lands / weapons manufacturings. If you double block with 2 Twitches, can they only choose to kill one? I don't think they can anymore. I think I believe that was a changed rule. I may be misremembering. All right, we're dead. Down a game. They can. What? Yeah. What am I thinking? They changed combat rules after so long, and I just for some reason can never keep them straight in my head. All right, let's bring in the culling rituals. Look at the airships and the cling. What am I thinking of? Just what is the big difference that changed with them removing ordering blockers? You're thinking that they get to assign damage after any combat tricks. Okay, probably that. Yeah. They made it so you can assign less than lethal damage. Okay. I think I do like that. I do think the blocker ordering thing is like pretty unfriendly to new players. But also changing a rule after 30 years is unfriendly to new players or old players. Let's keep this. I'm going to prioritize getting a green source off of the Delta, but it might end up being a surveillance, so I'll get basic swamp off my first fetch. Thoughtseize are just really good against Affinity. Like a lot of times their hand hinges on one key card. Case in point, although I am pretty worried about this Saga. I could take the Mox Opal. I think I'm going to have to take the Kappa. It wasn't 30 years. They back to Kamigawa. They changed combat. Okay, I guess I apologize. Could also maybe have taken the Crypt. They could get Saga or Crypt off Saga. Right, they put one card on top, one card on bottom. We drew the Overgrown Tomb. Find a Gravecrawler. Plays the Urza Saga. They found a weapons. They play the Crypt. Get a token. Not feeling super optimistic, especially with Crypt being able to break up the combo. Think we might be 2-0 to 2-3 here. Definitely can buy me some time. Well, I guess the problem is they just get Claws of Gix off the. They just get Claws of Gix off the Saga. Maybe I can get them to get Skateboard instead. I don't think attacking really does anything to bait them into getting the Skateboard. Isn't Spymaster's Vault and Trawler good land options? Oh yeah, so we should be playing Spymaster's Vaults, yeah. I with like the splashing, I wanted to really prioritize playing a bunch of fetches and fetchables. But yeah, we should have some Spymaster's Vaults. Trawler, I think with the splashes, you can't really play. And Spymaster's Vaults. Like in the other build, we're playing Trawler, but Trawler is more important in that build to enable Crypt of Agadim. Right, I don't think we can beat the Claws. Let's go play some Trudge. Sad 2-0 to 2-3. Okay, so this is a circle back. This was a deck that we built between rounds of a challenge. We played